it.
They present the popular radio program Political Platform on the Ray Power FM network. Ray Power FM Political Platform, now on television. Keep track of the country's polity and be part of the process as they discuss and put political developments in the country into perspective. It's Ray Power Political Platform on AIT Abuja.
So many things are happening. The people are questioning the anti-corruption campaign of the present administration. It's not the first time. But the name ABDULRASHEED Maina is up in the air. Of course, he was the head of the Presidential Task Force on Pension Reforms. That was a committee set up by former President Goodluck Jonathan. It was during that tenure that he was accused of misappropriating nearly 2 billion naira, leading the EFCC to declare him wanted. Even at that, he was seen with very many number of security men providing him security, and sometimes people said he will get to the airport then to either welcome or say bye-bye to the former president when he's traveling. And today, that man is still in the news again. His name is still in the FCC website as a wanted man, but he's sitting at the Ministry of Interior as Director Human Resources, and Nigerians are shouting, how on earth can a man declared wanted for alleged corruption be functioning as a public servant? That's the big question. And another question people are asking is about the two committees set up by the National Assembly to look into the allegations raised by Ibe Kachukwu against the GMD of NNPC, Mekanti Baru. Weeks after the committees were set up, they are yet to sit. Last week, the head of the committee set up by the Senate, former governor of Sokoto State, Wamaku, was seen at the Asoro Presidential Villa, Abuja. And before you could say Jack, rumors started flying that he was summoned and asked to soft pedal, and indeed not to take action or to even downplay whatever thing they will do. Some people are alleging that ethnic card and, of course, geopolitical cards are being played. These are all the allegations. And two suicides, one in Lagos, one in Kogi. The one in Kogi is attracting more attention as the man is said to be older by 11 months' salaries. And people are beginning to say, maybe between Kogi and Imo State, these two states are notorious for always coming up in the news for the wrong reasons. And the Independent National Electoral Commission says 3.2 million Nigerians registered in the ongoing continuous voters registration exercise, 70 million down. That's the registry for the 2015 election, but they're predicting that by 2019, the figure may hit 80 million. Ujo Ejeye is with me in the studio this morning.
Amechi, it would be a very terrible thing if truly ABDULRASHEED Maina is back and even promoted to the position of a director from, where he was before he had the fraud case that is still hanging around his neck. I would like to actually give the government the benefit of that, because if it is true, then it raises a lot of questions as to the anti-corruption fight of this administration.
Ijoma Samuel is also with us.
Amici, thank you. I still believe probably they conducted their research and went into investigation to find out that the man may not be that corrupt. That's why they decided to
who would have done the investigation?
That's why I'm saying, I said probably. And we still have to give them the evidence of the doubt to explain to Nigerians what has happened. Because with the recall of this man, it is clear that there is a silent battle between this administration and the former administration. So Nigerians need to understand what is going on.
Well, let's see how the EFCC will react this morning. Would they lay siege at the Minister of Interior, or would they swing into action, or would they continue to pretend that they didn't know that the man they declared wanted has been around? These are some of the issues. It reminds me of the declaration by the Kaduna State Governor, El-Rufai, that those that gave quick notice to the Igbos, the RYU should be arrested. They kept parading the streets. Nobody was arrested. Are we going to see a repeat performance?
They were on TV for people to see and know them.
I won't be surprised if ABDULRASHEED Maina resumes this morning at the Minister of Interior and nothing happens. After all, in Nigeria, anything can go. But let's take your mails. When we come back, maybe we'll start with the historic meeting taking place this morning in Lagos, a meeting of governors of southern states. 17 of them, you recall, 19 northern states governors have been meeting periodically. This other group in the other half of the country met last in 2006. That was when they were hosted by former governor of Lagos State, Ahmed Bola Tinubu. But they are reconvening today in Lagos. Ambode is their host. We'll be telling you the agenda and, of course, the politics behind it. But first, let's get to hear your mails from the ones who have selected from our email platform.
Bust it!
They present the popular radio program Political Platform on the Ray Power FM network. Ray Power FM Political Platform, now on television. Keep track of the country's polity and be part of the process as they discuss and put political developments in the country into perspective. It's Ray Power Political Platform on AIT Abuja.
Hello, welcome to the mail segment. I am Usaitin Yari.
I am Tenikang Akipu. You're welcome.
We begin today with the reinstatement with reactions to the reinstatement of ABDULRASHEED Maina. Friday John says, over the weekend I read with dismay an article in Premium Times about the secret reinstatement of ABDULRASHEED Maina into the Nigerian civil service by the government of Muhammadu Buhari. I was further surprised to read another article defending the position of the government for the reinstatement of the former pension task force boss. I would like to ask this important question. Is this government really serious about fighting corruption in this nation? God bless Nigeria.
More reactions. Rauf Adex in Abuja says, many Nigerians still can't believe the news that the former chairman of the defunct Presidential Task Force on Pension Reform, ABDULRASHEED Maina, declared wanted by EFCC in 2013 for over 2 billion naira pensions biometric scam, has been recalled to the service, promoted and reinstated to head the Human Resource Department in the Interior Ministry. Worse still is a denial by the Minister of Interior, Mr. Dambazao, of not being responsible for Mr. Maina's recall to the service. If I may ask, is President Buhari still in charge? I ask this question because many things are really falling apart in his administration, especially in the fight against corruption. But he promised he will fight until it is exterminated. But what we are witnessing now is a fight against Nigeria. May God help Nigeria.
In the same vein, Shegun Abuja says, the clandestine reinstatement of Mr. Rasheed Maina by the federal government and the subsequent silence from the head of service and presidency is a clear indication that the war against corruption is just a tool in the hands of the ruling party to distract the citizenry and decimate the ranks of the opposition in the runoff to the 2019 election. Mr. President needs to be reminded that his apathy and inaction concerning corruption in his administration has already tainted his spotless image, which was his major selling point during the last election. He needs to act fast.
And on the calls for forfeiture of funds in non-BVN registered accounts by the federal government, Bulus Astem from Jos in Plateau State says, last week the Attorney General of the Federation secured an interim order of forfeiture of funds in accounts without BVN. It is curious that the NCC was allowed to penalize telecommunication companies that did not block unregistered lines, but in this case the federal government is interested in the funds in non-BVN registered accounts. These accounts were opened via a contract entered into by individuals and banks. The government has no business meddling here, except where criminality is alleged. The best government can do in the circumstance is sanction errant banks through the CBN. I would suggest that government targets high-profile and politically exposed accounts still operating without BVN and deal with them in isolation. A selective approach is better than a blanket coverage. God bless Nigeria. And that will do for the mail segment today. Keep your mails coming. Send them to politicalplatform@yahoo.com.
Bust it!
They present the popular radio program Political Platform on the Ray Power FM network. Ray Power FM Political Platform, now on television. Keep track of the country's polity and be part of the process as they discuss and put political developments in the country into perspective. It's Ray Power Political Platform on AIT Abuja.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Let's remind you that you can catch up with past editions and even the current edition of this program on our YouTube channel, AIT Political Platform. Go to YouTube, then type in AIT Political Platform, and all there for you to choose. Of course, you can also make a catch-up later in the evening, AIT Abuja, or if you're outside the country, AIT International, 1930 hours. They are all available for you. Let's start with from Lagos State, where a historic event is coming. But first, let's welcome Adeboye Bodore.
Thank you very much. Disturbing trends in Nigeria. The issue in Kogi is very, very worrisome. And just last week, too, another person jumped into the lagoon in Lagos, frustrated by the condition in which he was living. And I think these are things that should bother those in authority, where Nigerians will just resort to take their lives because of what I would call, without apology, the irresponsibility of those in authority to fulfill their obligation to individuals unable to meet their daily needs. I think it's a worrisome trend, and Nigerians should rise and rise completely and speak to those in authority that you cannot continue to own people. In those days, the feeling everybody has is that when you work in government, you have a secure job because the salaries are being paid as and when due. But it's no longer the case now, and it means the clear indication from this is that lack of priority on the part of those in authority in ensuring that they fulfill their obligation to the public. Some of them still engage in frivolities, if I will use that word, whereas ignoring what they're supposed to do in favor of those who are on their payroll. Okay, let's take you to Lagos. 17 governors of southern Nigeria, those states in southeast, south, and southwest will be meeting. When I heard of it, my first thought was, is it related to the current agitation for restructuring? I was very curious, and I said, let me look out for the agenda. And when I saw devolution of power, fiscal federalism, I said, yes, it's not far from it. But they said they also be hoping to take common positions on issues concerning armed robbery and kidnapping. But the key ones there, devolution of power and devolution of powers and fiscal federalism. Of course, the 19 states in northern Nigeria have been meeting more frequently. We told you earlier, the last meeting of this group was in 2006 after initial meetings were held in Imo, Rivers, and Lagos. And they are indeed going back to reawaken that meeting. Of course, the issue of restructuring is still in the front burner.
It's a good thing that the authorities, the powers that be, are recognizing the imperative of having this so much talked about talks amongst ourselves, and these are just preludes to the main talk of ethnic nationalities that a lot of people have been canvassing. We have seen the North doing that, even raising up a research project committee, to collate the views of the people, the groups within the North. And now the South is waking up to do what it ought to have even started a while ago. Thank God for the Southwest that has been meeting and that has said, oh, we stand for regionalism. The South has also been doing that. So it's a good development. Let them talk, let them come up with a strong position too, so that this the final coming together would be faster than
anticipated.
Yes, than anticipated.
Well, to me, I don't see any in people meeting. It's their democratic rights, and people cannot be stopped from talking and discussing issues. But my point of departure has to do with the polarization of Nigeria today. Who has served at the international level, representing this country and representing the global community, spoke last year, and that word rings in my bell anytime I reflect on it. He said Nigeria is more polarized today, that the only time we witnessed this kind of polarization was perhaps during the Civil War, and the situation we are today, according to him, called for dialogue and called for discussion. But when you now have regional groupings across the north and the south divide, I am worried. The government in power.
Will you be worried even when it's for the purposes of development?
Why,
common
if it's for the
solutions to
purpose-
common problems.
Yeah, if it's for the purpose of development, it is a welcome. It is welcome. But I am worried because the government, the government in power today, should seize the opportunity. This level of polarization must not be allowed to continue. I mean, if people are agitating if the agitation is on over so many things, what I expect the government in power to do is for her to seize the opportunity and galvanize a national agenda in resolving this problem. But when we have a situation where the North is meeting, where the South is meeting, I don't see it as a sign of good omen for the country.
Ijoma, the meeting of the governors, that's at the political end. There are some other meetings going on. The Northern Elders meeting, led by Paul Unongo. You have the Southern leaders meeting. Of course, these Southern people have also met. You also have the Southern and Middle Belt leaders also meeting at beyond or below the political level. So it's one development that has indeed is fast and becoming entrenched in our political system.
Amechi, I think if they are meeting, that means they are concerned about the project in Nigeria. But I am worried because there are some persons, few number of persons, who actually want to kill the cry for restructuring of this country. And they are doing everything they can to make sure that it dies silently and disappears from the Nigerian polity. But I think if we do that, we are only prolonging the evil days, because if you don't allow it happen today, it will definitely happen again. Imagine them calling for the 1963 constitution, because that was when people believed that the people of Nigeria, the Nigerians, actually decided that this is what we want to rule us. But the kind of constitution we have today, we cannot talk about restructuring if we don't take a look at that. And we can't run away from the National Assembly playing a key role in restructuring of this country. If they don't do that, we have a problem.
Well, it will get back to the National Assembly, where we saw what happened in the last time they made attempts to amend the constitution to ensure devolution of power. They voted strictly on regional lines. Legislators from northern Nigeria voting against any move to devolve power, and politicians from southern Nigeria voting in favor. So if these meetings continue on this same divide, where and how are we going to get the consensus? That's the big question. After all these meetings, I want to see more meeting of all governors in Nigeria, all the political leaders, in whatever form you call it. But that meeting should continue so that we begin to narrow the gaps between the two positions.
Amechi, you know that whatever we are seeing today is a result of having neglected what we should have done from years back. And now that it has got to this stage, it's a good thing that they are beginning to talk. Yes, it would have been a nice one for all the regions, in all the sections of the country, to come together and discuss as one. But the polarization have been so much that may not be immediately realizable. So, like you said, let them all discuss, and then let us now see them coming together beyond regional lines to talk, and then so that we can unite this country again. If you say it must happen now, and I will tell you, Amechi, I really am not pessimistic. I'm very optimistic that Nigeria will still remain one. But I do not see it happening right now. I see it happening at these levels, and then we're not determining to come together. And as for the National Assembly, I think that our leaders should learn to be more sensitive, learn to be more responsible and responsive to the needs of the people. Because if we now decide to play the ethnic card, instead of educating and enlightening our own people to see the need for Nigeria to remain one, and to see the need for Nigeria to go along these lines in order for it to remain one, then we have failed as leaders.
Let's look at two issues of corruption now. One, the NNPC saga, where allegations were raised against the GMD Mekanti Baru by Minister of State for Petroleum. The National Assembly moved swiftly as the House set up his own committee, the Senate set up his own committee. That should be about 3 weeks back or so, or 2 weeks back. They were supposed to have started sitting, but the sittings are not happening, and people are wondering why is there a delay? National Assembly is not known for foot dragging in this kind of issues. They are tackling headlong, even when we know that sometimes the results and the outcome are just one of those in the past. But the visit of Governor Wamako, the head of the committee in the Senate, to the villa is one that raised eyebrows last week. He was seen there, and speculations were that maybe the powers that be summoned him and asked him to downplay it. He has not responded to that, and we are waiting for such response. And we are eagerly awaiting the commencement of the work by the two committees. Some people say that there's a big pressure on them to indeed water it down and not even to indict anybody in the process. Then you tie it to ABDULRASHEED Maina, the man that is so powerful. He has a way of reaching out to those in power, and the rumors have it that he wants to be governor of Borno State. He was deep into the Jonathan administration, and from what has happened, you can also guess that he has a lot of contacts in the Aso Rock presidential villa. The Minister of Interior, Dan Bazao, said he does not have anything to do with his posting to his ministry as Director of Human Resources, that it was the head of service that promoted and deployed him to the office. So many people have said this man was never sacked from the public service. He was only suspended, and the head of service may not have erred in deploying him because in the eyes of the law he's still innocent. He's still presumed innocent. But the fact that he's still a wanted man in the EFCC is what would have killed it all. Has he gone to the EFCC to acquit himself? How will the EFCC handle this? Can they continue to pretend that they didn't know he exists? Even when he was declared wanted, he kept moving around with truckloads of policemen, even DSS operatives. We heard people say this in everywhere. These are the big questions.
Well, there are indications from the Senate that the committee will start sitting tomorrow, Tuesday. Let's watch out for it, and let us see what will happen when they eventually start sitting, and the way and manner. We also watch out for the kind of report they'll probably come out with. But I think we don't have facts as at now on what actually transpired at the Aso Rock presidential
villa. Whether he even went for another business.
Yeah, maybe on something else. So let's still watch out tomorrow and see what will happen when the committee said they will now start sitting. As for Maina, I think FCC need to speak out. Speak out on this issue. They said
he's still a wanted man.
Yes, they should speak out on this issue. And now that they say they don't know where he was before, now that they know where he is now, let us see whether they will move swiftly and probably invite him. The totality of it, the way and manner these issues are being handled, and if they are not handled very well, will raise doubts in the mind of the people about the anti-corruption crusade.
Amechi, I think that all of these reasons are somewhat semantics. Because if you look at what has happened, he was suspended by the former head of service. And at no point in time have Nigerians been informed that he has been recalled from suspension. And
that's exactly what this head of service did.
But you see, for a high-profile case like that, a case that made headlines even for weeks, and for the enormous amount involved, and the kind of hardship that has been meted out to pensioners, people who served this country faithfully for years, as a result of the alleged action of Maina, I do not think that is something that should be done quietly. I mean, where has he been all this while? Some people said he was in Dubai, he was in one other country cooling down, and then he can go just come back, and then he's reinstated. What are we talking about? We are talking about fighting corruption.
For the promotion exam?
Exactly.
How was he promoted? Was it by the discretion of the head of
exactly.
service?
And what about the case? For such a high-profile case, he must be cleared, and he must be seen to have been cleared before anything can be given to him, and Nigerians would accept that. This is like, stepping on the sensibilities of Nigerians.
Amechi, I think this is a test of credibility for the Magu-led Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. If actually they want to prove that they are doing the right thing, they should come out. They should just come out and talk and say, yes, he's still being on our wanted list. They should let Nigerians know, and they should bring the man and tell the man to face the charges that they gave him. That
even questions and investigations.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if this EFCC keeps quiet, then Nigerians will have no other choice than to say we do not fight corruption in this country.
Well, let's hope what will happen. Some newspapers were writing that the EFCC top hierarchy summoned meetings yesterday to indeed map out plans on how to go about this issue today. Let's see how they will react to it. But of course, ahead of the 2019 general elections, the PVC or the voters register is still rising. The INEC is hoping that by that year, 80 million Nigerians will have been registered. There are innovations about the use of the card reader. The other week, I heard the INEC chairman talk about transmitting election results right from the polling stations using the card reader. It's an electronic device. Whenever you accredit anybody in any part of the country, the ground station in Abuja reads what you're doing. So they said it has the capacity, instead of the manual transmission of results where you carry it from one location to the other and anything can happen in the process, you do it right there, because whatever it does is recorded. It will be very difficult to manipulate. We are seeing the situations where the voters will be king by 2019.
Amechi, you should also look at the challenges of that. Remember that the card reader works with data, it works with services. And if at that time, I want you to also know that there are places where you can jam networks. And at that time, they don't have the appropriate data to send. What happens? This was the question.
Commission says they will shift the election in that particular place to the next day or any other day that may be
This was
suitable.
the exact question I asked the INEC chairman. What happened at that minute? He said it will be hanging for how many hours before we know. So if it could happen in some African countries that they conducted elections and their data was hacked, what about that of Nigeria? What are we doing about it? So we shouldn't just shove that into nothing.
Well, I think we should make one thing clear. The INEC chairman was categorical when he had an interactive section with senior editors. He said they will learn from the mistake of Kenya. They will not only transmit, they will also have the manual backup. So, and they will ensure reconciliation between the manual backup as well as the electronic transfer.
Okay, the match we can take on today's edition. Thanks for being part of it. Join us on Tuesday when we come your way. On behalf of the crew and of course, my colleagues, my name is Amechi and we'll have a good day.
Bust it.